Hey everybody, and welcome back to the channel, guys. Today we've got another Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes video for you. We're going to be checking out the Rey Unlock, GL Rey Unlock, guys. Whether you are a new player that maybe just got the Lightspeed bundle, or you're a really long-time player that just hates the Resistance, like this guy, I'm here to help guide you guys through this event so that you don't waste any time, makes it super smooth sailing, and most importantly, you don't waste any GL tickets, guys. No one wants to do that. With that being said, everybody, let's go ahead and get over into the game, shall we? Alright, so first and foremost, I am going to go over just general team comp and modding with you first. There's not a whole lot to this, guys. So, first and foremost, all of the characters that I'm using are going to be Rex for the event, with the exception of R2-D2. Zori is another option. We'll talk about her in a little bit, but R2-D2 I think is the most accessible character for everybody out there and works very, very well. So in terms of characters that are required, JTR is one of those. I do have some 6-dot mods on some of these character guys, but they are just their regular old GAC modding. I do not have any kind of special event mods on these characters, and it still works pretty well. For JTR, you can see I've got her at 253 speed, not overly fast. She just needs to be thick more than anything else. Lots of protection on her. Some health if you've got it, but mostly protection is your big thing there. And other than that, it's pretty straightforward. In terms of... What? I don't want mace. What is that? In terms of BB-8, again, speed does not hurt. 312 on him. I've got some decent speed on him there, but nothing crazy. Thickness, if you can, is also good. And then I have crit chance on him because that always helps whenever you're doing these events. The more crits you land under a JTR lead, the better. If you can get some potency as well with BB-8 and R2-D2 in particular, guys, that is also good. Again, you'll notice I don't have 6-dot mods on all of these characters. 290 speed for R2-D2. If there is one character other than Rey that you want speed on, I would say it's probably R2-D2. We'll get into that more once we get into the battle itself. But you can see he's got not crazy speed. He's got some thickness to him. Little bit of potency and a lot of crit chance. Again, just kind of the general modding for GAC. Now, the one spot where I do have some pretty crazy mods is on my Resistance hero, Finn. He is very fast, guys. But again, him being fast doesn't actually matter in this event that much. It's just a little added bonus. Not a major issue, though. And then last but not least, in terms of what we can see here currently, guys, we have Handbag Poe, Hero, Resistance Hero Poe, otherwise known as, and you can see his mods are total trash. We don't even look at the stats. They're just that bad. As an alternative, guys, if you do not have R2-D2 or Zori, the other character that is required for this unlock that you could use is Holdo. She does have an AoE daze that might help you resist, or prevent, I should say, some of the counterattacks that will happen in the opening phases, like in Tier 1 and Tier 2 in particular. With that being said, guys, let's go ahead and get into the actual footage itself and see what we've got. We're going to be starting with Tier 1 here, guys. And with Tier 1, it's pretty straightforward. You want to stay stealth as much as possible. That's why Zori really helps you a lot here. But if you don't have Zori, R2-D2 is probably your next best bet. If you don't have either of them, then hopefully you can get that AoE daze from Holdo. I am using footage, guys, just because I find that to be that's what works best when we are doing something like this. All right, so let that footage run, baby. Here we go. So we're going to start out with BB-8. He is pretty much our fastest character because of the turn meter. We're going to go ahead and just wiggle, and then wonderfully, we actually have R2-D2 going second, so he is able to put everybody under stealth. We're going to target JTR in this situation. I do remove the... Let me pause that real quick. I do remove the advantage from our Hux impersonator here, guys. This is basically a Hux impersonator, because that way we are able to then gain turn meter. If you have that option to be able to do that from the get-go, do that. Afterwards, you want to focus on the officers next, and then continue down the order. We're going to go ahead and let this keep playing. So we're going to go ahead and target the officer. We did pass that inspiration over to Poe. Poe then passes that inspiration over to, for me, BB-8 or JTR, your preference. When we are using Rey, GL Rey, we pass it to BB-8. If I'm using JTR, a lot of times I will pass it to JTR first. You can see we got the First Order Stormtrooper officer out very quickly there. Likewise, we dispatched of this one also very, very quickly. And now I'm kind of torn between whether I go for the snowtroopers or whether I go back for the Hux impersonator. I ended up going with the snowtroopers first here, just because they have advantage. They were the most dangerous, posed the most damage here, so I went for them first. Now we, of course, are stuck on that. You might want to go for the leader there, the impersonator, but again, it's not really a big issue. As long as you remove that advantage on him as soon as possible, keep it off of him as soon as possible. You can see we're stuck behind the taunts here, so we couldn't remove it. But again, it's still not really a big deal at all. Just stay under stealth as much as possible, and then you basically just pass Inspired around. It's really simple, guys. That's all you really have to do. As long as you do that, you are golden, and you will get the win on phase, or tier 1, I should say. Now, tier 2, we're going to go ahead and fast forward a little bit here. Tier 2 is very, very similar to tier 1. The only difference is that you're going to see different skins on the characters, and you're going to see that it's just a little bit more difficult than what tier 1 was. But outside of that, it's still the same basic concept. You want to stay under stealth as much as possible. You want to spread that Inspired over to your other characters as much as possible, and slowly whittle down all of the other characters. Now, in this one in particular, I actually, because I have the opportunity here, I decided to go for Hux right off the bat. It was just lined up perfectly that I was able to get that to work, and now I don't even have to worry about removing advantage in the future. You can see we're actually able to get the pilot out as well pretty quickly there. Let's go ahead and rewind that just a hair here so that we can see that again. Again, because I have the opportunity to go for Hux here, guys, I do try to focus in on him, and he is definitely the most dangerous, in my opinion, in this particular squad. So take him out first if you have the opportunity. Again, the turn meter train here is important. If you can get rid of that advantage, that will help significantly. Go for TIE Pilot next. You're going to be able to see that we do get him down. We're going to go ahead and put this back on fast forward again, because again, it's the same basic principle, guys. Keep your characters under stealth, pass the Inspired around, and you should be okay. You will see we actually did get close here to losing Finn. Luckily, he was able to survive it, but be careful, especially that Executor, and if they get out ahead of you guys, you could be in trouble. But as long as your Finn survives, even if we had lost our Finn, quite frankly, here, we probably still would have been okay, because we still would have only had basically the Stormtroopers left. We would have finished that off with what we had left. So, very, very straightforward in terms of how that works. So that's tier 1 and tier 2, guys. Now, tier 3 is quite possibly one of the worst events that have ever been made by CG. While the cinematics are cool, the actual gameplay of this is horrendous. But the nice thing is it's very easily repeatable. And by the way, this does apply for both the Slicker event as well as the Rey event. Both of them have the same kind of tier 3 event that includes these cinematics. The basic premise of this, guys, is very simple. You want to go feint, strike, parry, strike. You just keep doing that process over and over again. The other way to think of it is middle, or 2, 1, 3, 1. That whole process works. I kind of memorized it with the words, and I find that to be the easiest process. So we're going to go ahead and let this roll. With the footage that we have here, this actually was a really, really good run, really clean run for me. We did not really have any issues with it. Again, you can see right now I'm just highlighting what those different abilities are. The first one is strike, middle one is feint, third one is parry. So we went with feint first. You're going to always have this ability pop up in that bottom corner, guys. You're always going to click on that. Let me back that up just a hair so that you can see that again. So again, we're always going to have a given ability after you choose one of these 3 abilities. You're just always going to click it. You don't really have any other options. So we click on that down there in the corner. We're going back to strike at this point. Beautiful, beautiful. He takes his turn. We have our given ability. We use that again. And now we are on parry. So we're going to use parry. You'll notice that we keep getting a certain number of stacks over there on the left, 1, 2, or 3. If you follow the process right, your numbers will continue to go up. If you don't follow the process right, they will not go up. You can see here at the end, let me back that up just a hair. At the end here, when you've done it correctly, you are going to get kind of those clashing sabers that we have. That means that you have completed that process correctly, guys. Once you activate that, you're going to notice some of the health on Slicker goes down, and you just continue that process over again. Feint, strike, basic ability again they give you, parry, given ability, and strike. Ta-da! Very easy. Now, again, click the dueling lightsabers there and continue process. I'm going to go ahead and speed the footage up. The only thing that you want to be aware of, guys, is sometimes a question mark will pop up over top of crew. In this footage that we have here, it did not happen until the very, very, very end, literally where it did not matter. Usually, if you see that question mark pop up, what you need to do is just use your strike ability. That's the first ability. And then you will continue the process after that. So we did have it when we got it. We actually were at the very end of the event. So you can see here where I think we're in our third iteration of this right now. And yep, third iteration. Going to enter into our fourth iteration of it. And there's our question mark. So we did get the question mark, but as you will see, actually, let me go ahead and slow the speed of this down again so we can see it a little more clearly. It actually was at the very, very end where we actually had no choice on what to push. So we got really, really lucky. In the event that you get this question mark in another moment in the battle, which when I unlocked Rey happened a lot, to be honest with you. Like I said, when this happens, you need to use the first ability, guys. And then when the question mark is gone, you go back to where you were at in the process. Okay? That can be a little tricky. That's the only RNG part of this event that can be tricky in terms of getting it to work. But you can see we actually didn't have a choice here. We were already at the end of the match. We have the clashing lightsabers there. So I didn't even have a choice. So we just used those clashing lightsabers, and the event is over. We have the win. All right. Go ahead and run that victory screen. Woohoo! Moving along. Now, the next 3 tiers, guys, are essentially the same thing. Tier 4, Tier 5, and Tier 6 are pretty much the same exact things. It's just that they ramp up in difficulty. So we're going to go straight to Tier 6, guys, which is the most difficult one. This is the ultimate event. This is where your team changes a little bit. So before we had JTR lead, BB-8, R2-D2, Finn, and Poe. Now we do use Rey, and you can see I am going over the stats here with my Rey. It is not at all what a lot of people would recommend you to run. And I will say there is some RNG in this. You might lose tickets if you run a team like I am right now. If you want to get a guarantee to not lose those tickets, get your Rey faster. I would say around 520 speed should be enough. Mine is just a hair too slow. You can see mine is at 492. She is modded for health and offense. So the nice thing is, because she has so much offense, I'm able to just tear the team apart as long as the opening goes according to plan. Okay, we are back, guys. Sorry, I had a client restart in the middle of filming the footage of all things. So, as I said, it's pretty similar to, in terms of team comp, as to what we ran before in the first 2 phases, but we do have Rey. My Rey is slow. Ultimately, what you need to do is get protection up on your team, guys. If you get protection up on your team and you keep that survivability going throughout the battle, you will get the win. As long as you don't take too long to kill Slicker. If you take too long, you can lose this. Mostly, if you take too long, it's because you have lost Finn. That's the key thing here. If you lose Finn, you are in major, major trouble. You pretty much can just back out at that point because it's not going to happen. You will see with this run that we did, we actually got super favorable RNG. I did actually test this about 6 times in total, though. And every time I did it with my current mod setup, guys, I was able to survive with the entire team the entire time. It did get a little sketchy on the one instance, but again, if you want a guaranteed, tried and true approach to this tier, make your Rey faster than mine. Like I said, about 520 should be fine in terms of speed, but the 490 can rock it out as well, as long as you have the right RNG and team comp here. All right, We're going to go ahead and let this footage roll. So the basic premise is that you want to keep taunt on your JTR as much as possible. So you can see we're given an ability here in the bottom right-hand corner. This is going to basically force a taunt onto the character if you're choosing, and then you get a bonus turn. Ideally, this is used by JTR all the time because that's going to allow you to keep taunting, and it's going to allow you to keep that heal immunity on a character as well, which is super important later on in the battle. But outside of the JTR using it all the time, at the start of the battle here, if you get to go early enough, which we're going to get to go before Slicker does here, luckily we had those 2 dodges to start with, guys, you do want to kind of force this taunt. You can either force the taunt with Rey on the JTR, or you can use Lifeblood right away. What I would say is kind of make that decision based on your JTR. My JTR is very thick, not overly fast, so I forced the taunt because I felt pretty safe that she'd be able to handle any kind of incoming damage. If your JTR is not super thick and you're a little bit more scared of it, but she's super fast maybe, or somebody else is super fast, maybe go Lifeblood first and then have the other character force the taunt. But you can see here, I do the forced taunt on the JTR to start with here. Yeah. Also, you want to target the sides here, guys. You do not want to target Slicker first. Target the sides. We've got the taunt. I go ahead and get that heal immunity up and running with JTR. As you can see, she did get the bonus turn. Got stunned by Slicker, which is good. That means that Finn is safe and he's going to be able to pass that inspiration. So he passed it over to Poe. Poe then passed it to BB-8 because Rey and JTR already had it, which is wonderful. We're going to call that mass assist. And basically at this point, guys, it's just a process of keeping Lifeblood on your characters as much as possible while still doing damage, while still continuing to get JTR to taunt. As long as you follow that process, it's going to work for you pretty easily here. You can see JTR is out from under taunt now, so there is some damage or the possibility of damage that somebody else could get hit. So we force the taunt back over to JTR just to be safe, especially since we're still at the beginning of the battle right now. We don't have a ton of Lifeblood up yet. You'll notice I am not using Rey's ult. That's because obviously if you're doing this battle, you're not going to have that ult. So just keep that in mind, guys. Again, we're continuing to still work on that side character. We unfortunately had our heal immunity go away, so it's going to make it a little bit more of a lengthy process. But we get that wonderful, wonderful AoE and yeet him. Now you can see, unfortunately, we didn't have that taunt up, so Finn did get stunned here. Again, that's the damage, guys. That's kind of where it's scary. If your Finn gets hurt, guys, you could potentially lose this. But luckily, we've got enough Lifeblood on him at this point. We're pretty far into the battle that he's going to survive any of those attacks. Again, when we have the opportunity, we want to pass that taunt. You can see I've got Lifeblood on pretty much everybody but JTR at that point. JTR's thick, though. She'll be okay. Put the Lifeblood back on JTR. Everyone else is right as rain at this point and should survive any kind of hits that we have. Continue attacking that side character, and you will get him down relatively quickly. The biggest thing I will point out, so right now, Slicker, this was not the most quick and efficient battle that we had in my testing. So Slicker is actually at 90 stacks right now. I've had him as low as 20 stacks before because we were so fast and he didn't land any of his abilities. So he's actually pretty far up in his stacks right now, which actually makes this a little bit difficult. Because of that, because we want to get him down as fast as possible, you'll notice I actually stop using my Lifeblood with Rey. That is because most of my characters have plenty of Lifeblood at this point. They've got plenty of survivability, and I need to do some damage. If you let him last too long, guys, and survive too long, he will beat you. So you kind of have a calculated risk there in terms of, do I pass the Lifeblood around to everybody, or do I keep trying to do damage? Right now, you can see I was torn between the basic and the forced taunt. I decided to force the taunt. And unfortunately, we didn't have heal immunity, so he got some health back. But again, we should be okay here. I went back to the basic instead of Lifeblood on Poe. I did a calculated risk there. It paid off. We were okay, as you'll see here as the footage continues to roll. Again, you just want to keep passing that Inspired to Poe. Poe passes the Inspired to anyone that does not have it. Give Lifeblood to everybody else. Force the taunt with JTR. I do want to point out one thing here, guys. You will notice with JTR, I do not waive any of the characters. That is very important. Do not waive any of these first order characters with Rey. If you reduce turn meter on first order characters, they gain health. And if you are removing turn meter from Slicker, guys, he will be unkillable. And you can see there that we did eventually get that wonderfully with Rey's Whirlwind. Little side note, I just mentioned the wave with JTR there, folks. Do not bring in 3PO. 3PO obviously is an option as well in these teams. Do not bring him in, or you will end up not being able to beat it because of the ridiculous turn meter that he removes from characters. And you can see I'm just kind of going back and forth here because it's just fun. It's fun to watch Rey just whirlwind people, guys. It's a good time. So, anyway, that gives us our victory, guys. Like I said, your key points are protection up on your characters as soon as possible, with a force taunt on JTR whenever possible, and then spread the inspired as much as possible as well. And you've got yourself pretty much a guaranteed win. Again, do not waive or remove turn meter with 3PO. And of course, if you want a guaranteed win, get that Rey up a little bit faster than mine was. But again, with my modding and everything else, I was able to beat it pretty much every time without a problem. Hopefully that helps you guys in your Rey unlock, guys. Like I said, tiers 1, 2, and 3 should be guaranteed wins for you. It's just that last tier in particular where you may want to bump up your speed on Rey some to guarantee a win, versus what mine was, where it's a little bit more RNG sketchy, but you can still make it work at the level that mine was at. Hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, I'd appreciate a like, guys. If you want to continue catching more of our Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes content, guys, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. And last but not least, if you want to continue your journey down that Swugger rabbit hole, make sure you check out the next video.